Oh my goodness, I cannot believe that it is National Tulip Month, everyone. Yeah, yeah, I noticed it all month, as I've been out and about, going to certain stores and, just seeing the tulips on display from the tulip bulbs all the way to the blooming tulips, and of course, in all colors, just beautiful, just beautiful. And so, of course, it caused me to dig a little deeper and bring this information to you. Listen, according to the most recent USDA report, 175 million tulips are sold annually in the United States, and that makes the tulip flower the most sought after in the country. I believe it. I believe it. It's such a beautiful, beautiful flower. Very unique, right? All right. And so also I discovered that the largest tulip producer here in the United States is the state of Florida. Yeah, they value the annual flower crops or tulip crops, I should say, that come from Florida at $1.14 billion. We spend a lot of money on that beautiful flower. Now, listen, the Netherlands is known as the capital of the tulips, exporting 81% of Europe's total and tulip production. So that is amazing, isn't it? I just had to bring that to you because, it's that time of the year. It's the spring season. And of course, tulips definitely represent spring. And there's a lot more that's happening this month of April. And we'll talk about it as we get this show started. Stand by. It's that time. It's that time. It's that time. From Maryland's Cafe Society. From Maryland's Cafe Society. From Maryland's Cafe Society. That's right. That's right. It's that time, everybody. It is that time. Welcome, welcome to another edition of Maryland's Cafe Society Radio right here on the YouTube channel. Today is Tuesday, April the 18th, 2023. And how are you? How have you been? It's been a while, right? A couple of weeks. Yeah, I've kind of been on a hiatus, but I'm well. I'm well. And, I've been dealing with some things, but also quietly celebrating the 18th year of this show. Yeah, I returned to the radio airwaves in April of 2005 with this new show that I called Maryland's Cafe Society. Now, I know some of you don't know my history, but those who've been with the show, thank you for staying with the show and for your support. But let me just backtrack so for the newbies, they'll get a glimpse of why it's important that I'm celebrating 18 years. I did a stint of radio in the early 90s and then had to step away for numerous reasons, but still did some things behind the scenes over the years. And lo and behold, I was presented with an opportunity back in 2005 to do a couple of hours on a Saturday at a local radio station, and I jumped at the opportunity because I had been trying to get back in radio for a while. Anyway, we came up with Maryland's Cafe Society. It was 2 hours on a Saturday. Then it expanded over a few years to 3 hours. And a couple of years before the show ended in 2018, we went back to the 2 hour program. And so I tell you, it was mainly on Saturdays, but on occasion we would happen on Sundays, and sometimes we would do Saturdays and Sundays. And of course, I did fill in for some of the regular shows that happened during the week. And so, yeah. And in 2019, we took the show to YouTube, and that's where we've been since then. And so, yeah, 18 years back in radio, and of course, the 3 years in the early 90s. And so, I'm excited to still be around. Of course, just reflecting and trying to answer that question that some people ask me, you still doing that? Why are you still doing that? Because it's just in me to do it. I guess God is telling me to do it, and so I'll continue to do it until he says otherwise. All right. All right. And so, again, thank you for those who have stayed on this journey with me. And prayerfully, we'll continue to do it for 18 more years and perhaps maybe even on a larger platform and more frequently. We shall see. All right. All right. And so, this is Earth Week as well. And if you're like me, for Earth Week, you've kind of been stepping up your game, right, to help take care of planet Earth. And so I've been, more mindful of the recycling process, reuse, repurposing, refurbishing, restoring, rejuvenating. Okay, all right, all right. I'm going. I'm getting ahead of myself, but you know what I'm saying. So let's just do that. Let's, all days take care of planet Earth, but certainly during this week for Earth Week. And then, this coming Saturday, we roll right into Earth Day, and there's all kinds of activities and programs going on in various communities and parts of the country. So, just Google your community and see what events and programs and special things that you can do on Earth Day to help take care of planet Earth. All right. All right. Well, a lot has happened since we've been together. A lot of it has been doom and gloom. And my goodness, if you didn't know who you were, weren't strong in your spiritual and faith beliefs, you'd probably be somewhere guzzling down a bottle of liquor or something right about now because it has been one. But I tell you, um, I just had to pop in today, just kind of chime in on what happened here in the Chicagoland area over the last weekend. It's reported that hundreds of teenagers stormed the streets of downtown Chicago. Of course, they were caught on camera smashing car windows, attacking bystanders, blasting loud music, just roaming in and out of traffic and being disruptive. I read that some were even trying to get into the Art Institute down there. Some were trying to take over CTA buses. It was just a mess, and it all kind of finally escalated to panic um, when sounds of gunfire were heard, and of course, patrons downtown and tourists and even some of the teenagers who showed up were running for their lives literally, and in the end several people were shot, including a 6-year old. And so Chicago's Fox 32 is reporting that the chaos appeared to be what is called the teen takeover of the city. That's what it's called, teen takeover. And it's something that's planned on social media, and they're saying that this is, the second time that something like this to this extent has happened in the last year. I guess a similar situation happened last year, but this one is much more worse, and so everyone's left with the big question in Chicago: what do we do? What do we do about this? How do we stop this from happening? And I just want to say, the first reaction that you get from a lot of people, particularly when it comes to teenagers and minority teenagers specifically, is to write them off and um, not really show any empathy or compassion for them. But I say, before you do all of that, before you do that, and before you ask that big question, what's wrong with them? Before you do that, I want you to just pause for a second. Pause. Just pause for a second and consider this question. What happened to them? Because we all know that that is not behavior that uh, a young person who um, is nurtured and cared for and have, leadership in their lives, that is not the behavior that they would partake in. And so, for those who did not, some of them may, you know, be there, not really understanding what the motives are for others who are there, not knowing that it would escalate to some of the things that happened. But they are not the ones who are doing that. So for the ones who were misbehaving, I should say, and you know, participating in what is considered criminal activity, you have to ask that question: what happened to them? These are teenagers, these are young people. What happened to them? Consider that question before we put our judgment pants on, right? And then ask yourself, what can I do to help the leaders of the city of Chicago and of some of these organizations that I'm hearing are stepping up to try to intervene and prevent it from happening again. It's just not a good look for young people in general. And it's certainly not a good look for the city. As you know, they continue to have this PR issue, um, with Chicago just not being a desirable place to go visit or live right now. And so, um, I think there's a lot of variables that play into what causes kids to act out in that way. But one thing I do want to say that I think maybe some people have not considered is what this pandemic, the psychological impact that this pandemic has had on all of us, but specifically the young people, you know. And let's factor that into everything else as well, because I think we're seeing a lot of it being played out, and not just with the young people. I honestly feel that this pandemic and the lockdown and all the death and everything has had a negative impact on all of us, and again, specifically young people. All right, and so while we're doing that, let's also continue to keep our prayers up for the young teenager Ralph Yarl from Kansas City, and now I'm hearing about this Kaylin Gillis from upstate New York. They were both shot, but in Kaylin's case, she was killed just for pulling up in the wrong driveway. And of course, Ralph Yarl, who survived being shot, but just knocked on the wrong door, going to pick up his siblings from trying to find the house where his siblings were. He was going to pick them up. And this all happened over the weekend. And my goodness, like I said, just a lot for us to pray about. And so we certainly keep their families and all involved in our prayers. All right. All right. All right. And so, on a much lighter note, I guess, maybe not for the people who have signed up to go on this trip to the moon or wherever they're trying to send this Starship rocket, but SpaceX's Starship orbital test launch was scrubbed on Monday due to what they call a frozen valve. Now, this liftoff would have marked the first test launch of the company's Starship, that booster rocket and space vehicle. Again, the whole point of these tests is to get it prepared to take folks, I guess, around the moon or to the moon and back, one of the two. But it had to be scratched because of that valve problem that it was having. And so I've read that the launch will be postponed or has been postponed for at least another 48 hours. So I guess they'll attempt it again maybe on Wednesday or Thursday of this week. And so fingers crossed, we'll see what happens, right? All right. And so that's all I have, everybody. Like I said, I have kind of been away for a few weeks, but we'll be back on track starting today. This coming week, well, I think that's the last week of April. Is it the last week? Today is the 18th. Yeah, next week will be the final week or last week in April. So we'll be back next week, and maybe I'll do a little bit extra as we celebrate the anniversary month of this show, the 18th anniversary month of Maryland's Cafe Society. How about that? All right, and so we're in a new month, which means we are focusing on meditating on a new word, and it's really not a new word, it's the repeat word from pandemic years, right? And so the word is cast, cast, and it's spelled CASTE, and it means a system of dividing groups of people or society into hereditary, social, or privileged classes. Cast. All right. And remember, if you want to promote your business, your service, your product, your book, your CD, whatever you have, your persona, or just participate in our annual Christmas giveaway that starts in October of every year, send an email to producer at marylandscafesociety.com. And make sure you visit that website, marylandscafesociety.com, to connect with me on my social media, check out the blog, and of course, this YouTube channel. And while you're at the YouTube channel, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. All right. And remember the email club, Mondays with Marilyn. Just send an email to Maryland's Cafe Society at yahoo.com, and the notes just say sign me up, and we'll add you to that email list and get you on there, right? All right. And before we go, we definitely want to remind you that we have that Love Is segment. And for this month, Love is Wise. Love is Wise. All right. All right, everybody. That's about all I have. So, as I always leave you, I want to remind you, if you don't do anything else this week, for the rest of the week, be sure that you live, you laugh, and you love. As always, it's a pleasure and a privilege, and we'll hang out again on the next show. Peace.